Hi, I'm Tom. This is Wheelchair Wellness, and I want to remind you all that we don't have to walk to be well. I have a spinal cord injury and have been paralyzed from my chest down for over 20 years. I have also been a licensed occupational therapist who specializes in spinal cord injury for over 10 years. The information in this video is for educational and general information purposes only. Everyone's needs and abilities are different, so please check with your own healthcare provider, therapist, or medical team before making changes to your routine, exercises, or equipment setup. Thank you, enjoy the video, and support disability in your community. Hi everyone, this is my continuation of the bed video. We're going to talk about how I get in and out of bed, the stretches I do in bed, and what I like and I don't like about this Sleep Number bed. How do I get in and out of bed? First, I need to back up and get in the right position. I'm going to take my shoes off real quick. I want to make the gap as small as possible when I transfer. And the gap that I'm referring to is the gap between the front of your wheelchair and the bed. So I don't transfer with my wheelchair parallel to my bed. I turn my wheelchair at an angle to my bed. And it's about 30, 35, maybe 40 degree angle. When I angle my chair, that decreases the gap right here. Like you can't see this gap right now. I'll move my legs so you can. But the gap right here is as small as possible because that will minimize where you can fall. Right now, I can fall here. And if I really lose my balance, I can fall here, but that's probably not going to happen. If I don't close this gap, I could also fall here. Next, you need to be confident in where you can sit when you scoot forward. One thing I know is how far I can scoot forward in my chair without falling. If I go a little bit farther forward, I might slip off the front of my chair. But I can scoot this far forward and be confident that I won't fall. That is something important that everyone needs to know in relation to their body and their chair. So I put my leg out, and then to scoot forward, I lean forward. I put one hand on my bed, one hand on the wheel. And I just scoot forward in my chair. Scooting forward helps miss your wheel in the back when you transfer, because if you scoot forward, you don't have to lift your butt up over your wheel. You can kind of transfer around your wheel if you scoot farther enough forward. So I'm leaning forward. I've already scooted forward. My hand is on my wheel and my hand is on my bed. I'm going to push with this hand. I'm going to pivot and turn and lean on this hand. So I'm pushing a little bit through both hands, but it's mostly through my right hand. And I'm pushing up and over with my right, and then I'm leaning on my left and rotating. And then I'm just trying to scoot my butt as far back as I can once I get on the bed so I don't fall off the bed. And then I grab under my knee and I lift that up and push my knee straight. I grab the under the other knee, pull it up, and then I straighten that knee with both hands. Now, then I scoot over so I don't fall out of bed. And ta-da! Before I show you guys some stretches, let me show you how I get up from my actual bed. So the method where I put my hands under my hips. I dig my hands under my hips. I push my elbows into the bed and I sit up and I push my elbows back and then I push up. That's one way. another way is the momentum way. So that's when we push our hands up here, throw our hands forward as hard as we can, push our elbows back, land on our elbows, and then push up on those fists, and then push all the way up. And then the final way, I grab a handful of sheet and mattress cover, and I dig my elbow into the bed and pull myself up. So I'm going to grab the sheet and the mattress cover, and then I'm going to bend my elbow and push my elbow down into the bed and pull myself up while I kind of lean to my right towards the arm that I'm pulling with. So like that. And then with my left hand, I reach my left hand back and push myself up with both hands. The difference between doing these on a mat and doing these on a bed is the strength you need to successfully sit up. If you cannot sit up in bed, you need to work on your bicep, tricep, and shoulder strength, mainly your bicep strength. The first stretch I do every morning, if I'm not already on my stomach, is roll to my stomach. I bend my leg, roll. I always start close to the bed. I don't start up on my elbows. I don't start up on outstretched arms. I start very close to the bed, down on my chest and my head. If you roll onto your stomach and you're close to the bed, if you have sharp pains in your back when you do this, roll back over. Don't try pushing up any farther. After I lay flat on my stomach for a minute or so, I get up on my elbows to get a little bit more of a stretch. I look up with my head and I hold that for a minute or two, maybe even longer. And then after I feel a little bit loose and I do that for a few minutes, I start to push up on outstretched arms. And this really stretches my hips and my abs and my lower back. Just want to push straight up. Sometimes I even get on my knuckles. I'm trying to push my belly button into the bed to get a better stretch. And I hold that for at least 30 seconds, usually around a minute. Then I roll back over. The next thing I do, and this is very important, is long sitting. Long sitting is a very common term in rehab after spinal cord injury. It is where you sit on your butt with your legs straight out in front of you. This is long sitting. So now the stretch requires us to lean forward while we long sit to stretch our lower back and our hamstrings. On the bed, this is more difficult because as we lean forward, our knees bend up because the bed isn't hard, it's softer. So you can see this as I lean forward. So I lean forward, my knees start to bend. If I just lean forward and my knees bend, I'm stretching my lower back. And that feels really good. So I want to lean at my waist and not my back. So I want to try to keep my back straight and lean forward at my waist. If you let your knees bend, you won't stretch your hamstrings. And that's the main reason why we're doing this, is to stretch our hamstrings because they get really tight in a wheelchair. So to stretch your hamstrings from long sitting in a bed, you need to lean on your knees. Sometimes I will put both arms on my knees and kind of push them down with my elbows. So I grab my ankles and I put my elbows on my knees, and I'm using my elbows to push into my knees, and I'm raising my feet up to straighten my legs. Now I feel it in my hamstrings. I can feel that stretch. And I'm holding that for 20 to 30 seconds. Anytime we're doing stretches, we're holding those stretches for at least 20 seconds. And whenever you're counting, you're not counting 1, 2, 3. Those aren't seconds. You're counting fast if you're doing that. You need to count 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, or 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000. Whatever trick you use to get those seconds right, use it. So I'm pushing my knees straight with my elbows, and I'm holding the rest of my leg with my hands, trying to keep those straight. It's a lot of work, but it's a really good stretch. And you can do it in bed. You don't have to go on the floor or on the mat, which I think is really beneficial. I can get on and off the floor. If I had to do these stretches on the floor, I probably wouldn't do them. I definitely wouldn't do them every day. Another really good long sitting stretch, and a way to modify long sitting, I do this every morning, is spread those feet apart and lean down the middle. When I do this, I'm keeping my elbows against my knees so they don't turn in. And I'm just leaning forward as far as I can. I couldn't always lean this far forward, but in order to get dressed and do all the things you need to do, you need to be very flexible. So that's why stretching daily is important. Stretching forward like this will also help with propelling your wheelchair, with transfers, and with bed mobility. You need to be able to lean forward to do all of those things. And the farther you can lean forward for all those things, the better you will be, and the stronger you will be, and the more independent you will be. Whew. Oftentimes, after I stretch, those muscles are angry. You saw my legs shaking and my legs turning in. That's because I've been stretching those muscles, and they're like a rubber band. If I stretch them, they want to go the other way. That's what's happening when your legs shake or you feel really tight after you stretch. Your muscles are just springing back to where they were. But the stretching and the holding for at least 20 seconds, if you're doing that consistently every day, you're going to be increasing your flexibility. And you're going to be able to move more and more in the ways you want to move and the ways that you're stretching. Those are the 2 long sitting stretches I do. Here's another stretch I do. I call this butterfly stretch. So I bend one foot in, I bend the other foot in. So this is to stretch your groin muscles. So I put my feet together and I pull my feet as far towards me as I can comfortably. And then I'm going to gently start pushing down on my knees with my elbows. And leaning forward. So you gently lean forward and you gently push your knees down with your elbows. And just hold that stretch. I feel this in my lower back and my groin muscles, my inner thigh muscles. The more stretched out you get, the farther you can pull your feet in and the closer you can get your knees to the ground. Oh, that's a really good stretch. This is important to be able to cross your legs for dressing, to get your socks and shoes on and off, like I did before I got into bed. Here's another stretch I do. I call this the figure 4. So I bend one leg up, I keep one leg straight. So this, I can really focus on one leg at a time. And I can, if you have long enough arms, you can stretch your calves, your hamstrings by pushing your knee down, and your lower back by leaning forward, all at the same time. So I'm literally stretching all the muscles from here all the way to here, or from here all the way to here. So let me show you that again. So I'm with my left hand, I'm pushing my knee down. With my right hand, I'm getting under my foot and trying to pull my foot towards me. If you can't reach your foot with your arm or your hand, you can use a rolled up towel to help and pull your foot towards you, or a TheraBand, or a lot of things. Then I switch. I bend this leg. All right, now so now I'm pushing my knee down, pulling that leg back. When I'm doing this, I'm getting a little bit of AD symptoms, but not bad. I feel like I'm sweating a little bit. That probably just means I am stretching a bit too hard. So as I back off, I stop sweating and I hold it there. All right. But that's the secret on the bed, is you really have to push those knees down to get a good stretch on your hamstrings. Otherwise, when you lean forward, your knees will just bend and your hamstrings won't stretch. Stretching your hamstrings is really important, because when you're sitting in a chair, your legs are like this all day, and your hamstrings get short in this position. So some people I know literally can't move out of this position. Both of their legs are stuck like this because they've never stretched their hamstrings, and they've been injured a long time. Don't let your legs stick like this, please, because then you can't get on your stomach at all, and it really limits what you can do and how you can do it. If you can't roll onto your stomach without it causing pain, I suggest using a lumbar pillow or a rolled up pillow or towel. You can kind of achieve a similar stretch. It's not as good, but it's similar, by putting a lumbar pillow or a rolled up pillow or towel under your lower back. Now, the tighter you are, the smaller you need to start. So if your back is really tight and you're in a lot of pain whenever you roll onto your stomach, I would just start with a rolled up towel and just gently lean back onto it. You don't want to use a pillow. You want to lay flat. And you're stretching that area by laying on your back this way. Sometimes I will go to sleep with this lumbar pillow under here just to get a good constant stretch while I sleep. If you can tolerate the lumbar pillow or the rolled up towel, then I would move to a rolled up pillow for a better stretch. Anytime you're making that bigger, that towel or pillow bigger, you want to lay back very slowly and be very cautious, because if you have pain, you want to stop and get that out of there. So those are the stretches I do daily. Here's some more stretches that I do every once in a while when I'm just feeling tight in certain places. So I grab under my knee, I pull it up, I just lean back, and I try to gently pull that knee as close to my chest as I can. Here's another good one I like. So I take my arm and I bend both knees up, lean back. I lay back on my back while I'm holding my knees up. All right. And then I gently rotate my knees to one side. Bring that hand up here, and that helps stretch all of this through here. Try to turn your head and neck away. You want to go slow and make sure you're not having any bad symptoms. Please be cautious when rolling to your stomach and when doing those lower body rotations. They can put a lot of stress on the lumbar and thoracic regions of your spine. If you have hardware in your lumbar or thoracic regions of your spine, please talk to a healthcare provider before you do that to safely figure out how to do it. This Sleep Number bed is great, I guess. It's a king-size bed, which I love. I used to have a queen-size bed. My wife and I like the extra room. What I really don't like about this bed, and it's a very big thing and it's a very important thing, I think, is that we got the split king. So it's completely split all the way down the middle. And my feet, when I roll over, my feet will fall into that, or my leg will fall into this, and it will make it hard to roll back over. Or sometimes my foot will get caught while I'm rolling back over. I don't like, it's like having two beds pushed together. And I don't like that from an intimacy standpoint, as well as a functional, independent, being able to do my own stretches standpoint. So I'll show you what I'm talking about. So whenever I roll, it's just not a lot of room to roll. And if I roll on the edge, then I get in the crack, and it's hard to get out. So my foot wants to stick in there. Oh, don't do that. So if you're looking to get a bed, my recommendation is to get a semi-firm mattress. You don't need a Sleep Number. If you get a Sleep Number, I would recommend getting the not split mattress because you won't be able to fall into it. Now, Sleep Number makes a half split mattress where I think the bottom half isn't split and the top half is. That would be a little bit better if you want the head recline and incline function. But if you're paralyzed, I don't know if I'd recommend getting the fully split Sleep Number mattress. One last thing I want to talk about. I mentioned leg lifter straps at the end of my last video, and my mentor mentioned that she likes dog collars better than the leg lifter straps because the Velcro is better. So leg lifter straps, if you buy just the regular leg lifter straps, the Velcro goes bad. And whenever you pull on them, the Velcro will give and not hold, and you'll just pull the strap off. But with dog collars, they're the same thing, and they have better Velcro. So if you're looking for another alternative to leg lifters or a better alternative to leg lifters, try dog collars. That's all I have for you today. Good night.